Today we're going to go back in time to the early 1990s, before all of you were born, and look at some games that I played when I was in Europe, which, as you all know, I lived in from 1988 to 1992. And I lived where?
Belgium.
What city?
Brussels.
And my address was? Come on, come on. No, Chaussée de Charleroi 53. And my zip code was 1060, which is 1060. And who was born in Brussels? No, he was born in a suburb. Spencer, yeah. Although theoretically he's born in Ixelles, which is part of Brussels. Okay, but anyway, actually that was a good movie, Jean-Claude Van Damme. That's the name of the movie.
JCVD?
Yeah, JCVD, that was a good movie, yeah. He has to make one good movie. All right, so we're gonna look at a game that I played in Prague in 1990. This is a very funny tournament because I took a train to Prague, well, more than one train, and when I got there, I was supposed to play in the IM norm tournament, but I wanted to play in the GM norm tournament because my rating had just risen. So I was going to tell the organizers, look, and when I walked in, the organizer said, hey, can you play in the GM norm section? And I was like, all right, I'll let you this time. Let you off the hook. Okay, and I tied for second, or was clear second, I forgot. I lost one game, and it was a game where I was like winning out of the opening. So I should never do that again. Okay, so here I'm playing Petr Haba. He doesn't know how to spell his name, but he plays pretty well. Okay, P-E-T-R. Okay, he should go on Wheel of Fortune and buy a vowel. All right, so I'm white, and he played an opening that I play with black. That's not fair. I have black in this position all the time. I always lose, but I have more experience with black. Okay, and usually with black, nothing ever happens. I play E5 or C5 too quickly, then I resign. Okay, but I was white. Okay, so I played Bishop D3, probably Bishop E2 is better, but only like 10 players in the world know that. Castles, and now H3, put it in H. And this was a move that annoyed me when I had black, because if they castle, I always play Bishop G4. And then my knight can go to D7, not blocking my bishop, and I can trade off for that knight and play E5, and then I lose. But H3, I don't know what happens to this bishop. So a lot of people leave it on C8, and some people play B6 and do something over there. My opponent played C5. Actually, if I remember correctly, and I don't, I played this against Sam Shankland about 3 or 4 years ago in a Michigan, I think it was a weekend Swiss. Although somehow I played Shankland and Schulman. That doesn't sound right. I checked the records on that. And well, white sort of lost a tempo with H3, so black can lose a tempo with C5 because white's bishop really shouldn't be on D3. And if we trade pawns on D4, we're going to get a reversed Tarash Queen's Gambit where white has the extra move H3, but the bishop on D3 is sort of strange because it blocks the queen from defending and attacking the center. Okay, so I castled and we traded. And I played A3, so he wouldn't play knight B4. I think against Sam, I did play D takes C4, knight B4, knight D5. Now, you guys don't know. Yeah, that's what I did. Okay, and now he surprised me, although this was 26 years ago, so I don't remember any of the moves. I think he played bishop F5 here. Okay, good. Still remember 26 years later. Don't ask me in 26 more years. You'll get your feet dirty, be a lot of dirt on it. You hear me talking, Ken West? You know exactly what I'm talking. You're not going to be here in 26 years. You can hope all you want. 2.6 years is a nice goal. Yeah, 26 years. How are you going to be in 26 years? 90. Yeah, 90's. Wait, 90 can't be right.
89.
89? Yeah, 63? Yeah? Yeah, no. See, the over-under 64. Any chess player, 64. Fischer knew what he was doing. Okay, so a lot of people don't like when they double their pawns because their pawns are doubled. On the other hand, good control of E4. So this is perfectly reasonable for black. Maybe I'll play this for black. Actually, I have black in these positions often when I'm black in a Caro-Kann and my opponent plays the, can I say this on the air? The chicken variation. I was going to add a syllable to chicken, but I didn't do it. Is that 2 syllables? And I play black in this position, although usually my opponent's pawn is on c3. He finally got it. Okay, good. And yeah, I have good results because I get to put a knight on e4. And usually I attack on the king side. King h8, rook g8, rar. As in the famous game, Sinkfield-Finegold. Which Sinkfield and which Finegold, we don't know. But it was Rex against me. The only rated game Rex has ever played against a GM. And you can guess how he did. Okay, so I played bishop g5. Now in this middle game, even though I wasn't really that good of a player yet, I was good enough to do nothing. Okay, at least I understood that. My opponent wasn't good enough to understand that. Eventually he did something. Okay, and if you've watched The Simpsons, every second of every episode, you'll remember the episode where Homer's a boxer. And they practice, and he hits the glove, and there's a fly there. And when he hits it, the fly just flies away uninjured. And so Mo said, hitting isn't really your strong suit. Says, you're just going to stand there and get punched until the guy gets tired and falls over. Okay? So he says, we don't want to get in a boxing match here. So that's sort of actually my philosophy in chess. I don't really do very much. If there's a fly, I don't kill it because I'm a vegetarian. And then, eventually my opponent falls over and I win. Yay. As in the game Fischer-Bisgeier. What was Bisgeier's fatal mistake? No. You missed the whole everything. I have to go back now. Rewind the tape, even though there is no tape. That's the game where Bisgeier woke Fischer up. Fischer fell asleep and Bisgeier woke him up. Not good, not a good idea. It was in 1963. I'm surprised you don't remember, being that you're 63. Terrible. I wasn't even born yet and I remember it. Come on, wake up over there. How old were you in 63?
Were you Navy born in 63?
What? No, you're 1 year off. Okay, I said fly, not beetle. Bam. God, nobody got that? Dumbest audience ever.
So, I don't believe you ever addressed, if bishop f5 was a good idea or not.
Yeah, I think so.
You think so? Okay.
I don't know if it's better than other moves, but I mean, white square bishop's usually good for white. This bishop's always having an issue. Now they're gone. Yeah. Okay. I don't think I have an attack down the G file. Not yet. Don't tell my opponent it's coming. Yeah, actually, against the Karo Khan, when white's pawn is on c3 in these positions, I'm the one who gets the attack, usually down the G file. So, okay, so knight e4, the point. And if you're playing in the knights, who's playing in the knights? Anybody Wednesday? You come Tuesday, but not Wednesday.
I get work Wednesday.
Yeah, you're busy, yeah. So on Wednesday, there's a knights tournament, and I annotate all the games with a fine-tooth comb. Nobody can find that comb. And there was a game Lulu had, and she had pawns, she was white, she had pawns on d4 and f4. She was all ready for knight e5, but instead she hung her f-pawn. So, like if I played here and takes, that would be more like a Lulu game. Okay, and why am I making fun of Lulu? She wouldn't get me water. I mean, I drove her to the computer store, I let her stand in line for 20 minutes, and I don't get any water. Come on, she only brought me 2 waters today, and it's like 7:45. Right? No wonder you quit. You're like, come on. Ridiculous. God, 2 waters. I've only had 7. Well, all right. Knight e4, and I took on d5, giving my opponent lots of options. Should he blunder his queen, as recommended by certain GMs? Or should he take the knight or take the bishop? Nobody knows. Does the class have a guess? Pretty high-rated class, actually. Pretty high-rated class. Yeah. Okay, yeah, if he takes the bishop, then when I recapture, then this pawn's defended. Although I could take the knight also. It was 1990, I don't know. Who knows what I was thinking. Okay, how old was I in 1990? Come on, Ken West, how old was I? This game was played in Prague, so it was early in the year.
Were you born in like 69?
Yeah, that's right. So I was 20 during this game. Right? If I lost the game, I couldn't get a beer. Well, actually in Prague, maybe. So yeah, I probably could. So, okay, so he took the knight as suggested by the audience. You probably saw the game and you came prepared. See, that's what I'm thinking. I played against it. Okay, and everybody takes everything. Now the computer says black is fine because black is fine. But in 1990, the computer said nothing. Computer's like, I haven't been built yet. And I'm like, quiet. Okay, so rook b1. These rooks have to go to b1 and e1. Because on f1 and a1, they're no good. Now, what does this pawn structure remind you of? What opening? You could have said any opening. I would have given you credit. I was thinking the Petrov, because I just saw the Petrov game in this line where the pawn structure was like that. Okay, rook b1. I'm pretending to threaten b7. Probably not threatening it. Okay, yeah, he didn't fall for that. So rook b7, knight takes d4 is probably not good. Unless you have black. That's probably good. Okay, so queen c1, making a battery. Rubinstein's happy. I don't know if it's the chess player or the pianist, but one of them's happy, right? Okay, and then knight a5 is a positional move, taking advantage of the weak white squares and super defending b7. Now, queen c1 and bishop g5, that almost does something. Why did I do that? I don't like doing anything. Okay, rook e1, as I espoused earlier, and I'm trying to put my pieces on the best squares. So I'm pretending to threaten bishop h6. I'm pretending to threaten b7, which he defended. I'm pretending to be on the open file. I'm good at pretending. Okay, I even pretended I was married in 1990, because I was. Also good pretending. Okay, rook c8. Now this is the part of chess which is difficult. All of our pieces are on the right squares. So what would we do if we were super GMs? No, agree to a draw. Oh, repeat was good too. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, agree to a draw, because we don't know what to do now. All our pieces are on the right squares. We can make a mistake. Okay, but I was no good at 90, never was a super GM, so no draws. Okay, bishop f4. Most people thought I was playing bishop h6. Haha, I tricked you. Bishop f4, I control e5 more. I'm not sure which piece I'm putting there. And I might play bishop h6 later when you're not thinking about it. Now, what move would I never recommend for black here? F6. I would have also accepted queen e5, queen d4, queen b3. I would have accepted a lot of answers. But f6 was the move I was thinking of. That makes the bishop bad on g7, weakens e6. It does stop me from going to e5. So a lot of people would be tempted to play something like f6 for defensive reasons, but it makes your bishop pretty bad. Okay, b6. And the guy's pretty good at not doing anything. a4. What's my next move?
Knight c4.
No, I'm white. What's my next move? Well, I'm gonna take his knight. Oh wait, I can't. This isn't the kids' class at 1 o'clock. Never mind. Yeah, I want to have the option of rook b5. Kick him away. Rook e8. Knight c4 makes sense. Yeah. Bishop h6. Now that it's not pinned to the rook. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. I showed him. Okay, f6. Boo. Okay, and he resigned after f6 because he realized what a terrible move it was. Okay, f6 does stop queen g5. You got to give him credit, right? Okay, so if I play queen g5, I'm doing pretty well. Okay, f6. Now f6 actually makes a little more sense if we're trading the bishops, because his bishop on g7 isn't so good with the pawn on f6. But if there's no bishops on the board, he's stopping knight g5 and queen g5. And unfortunately for him, he was getting excited about playing e5. He was like, oh boy, I can play aggressively. That never works. Okay. So rook b5, playing aggressively. Queen d7, takes. Knight h4. Ooh, scary. That move doesn't smell very good because it's nh4. No, should I said nh3? No, nothing?
You gotta put the plus.
Yeah, but it wasn't check. What am I supposed to do? Okay, so the point of knight h4, nobody knows, is I'm going to attack his king, and my knight really couldn't do anything here. And I'm making it sort of tough for him to play e5, because then f5 is pretty weak. And I don't have a direct threat, so I'm pretty happy about that. I don't want him to think about it. And in fact, this is actually a good trick in time trouble. If your opponent's in time trouble, what you normally do is move instantly and blunder and lose. That's the way you guys roll. Okay, right, Mike Hummer? What you should do when your opponent's in time trouble is never move and make moves that have no threats. If you threaten their queen, they'll move it away. If you threaten nothing, they'll be like, wait, you didn't threaten nothing. Then they have 20 moves to think over, and they can't handle that. They're only looking for the moves that threaten things. Okay, so knight h4 is a good time trouble move because black has a lot of moves now. Okay, knight c4 as recommended earlier. Queen f4, knight d6. Rook e3, sacrificing the exchange, Morphy style. I get all my pieces into the attack. Should he take my rook? Probably. But he was scared. Would I play rook e3 today? No. But it was 1990. I was 20. I thought I could attack. And my opponent agreed. So he played king h8, because I'm going to play rook g3 anyway. Now, Spencer Finegold, who I think is related to me, but it hasn't been proven, he played a game in the Knights last week, and there was a situation where his opponent he could check his opponent, but his opponent moved the king first, so rook g3 wouldn't come with check. It was reverse colors. But a lot of times in chess, when your opponent's going to check you, and you have to move your king somewhere, moving your king there first where it takes the sting out of it, now you get a free move. A move that's not clear what to do here. I would play knight takes rook, as would Alex Marler. Marler's like, what's the problem? Okay, so king h8, rook back, bluff, no more bluff. Knight e4, d5. And I think the reason I won the game is because of the move d5. Is it a good move? It's okay. But I think it put my opponent on the defensive. And it takes his queen away from defending his king over here. As you can see, none of his pieces are too close to his king, and I have a lot of pieces that are coming towards his king. What should black do? Well, how do you refute d5? Where's Larry Evans? Captain Evans?
I would have played knight g5.
Knight g5, wait, that's too good. Knight g5, can I take on e6? Then f5 is weak. Now actually knight h4 makes sense. My moves never make sense. I'll give it the green light. There we go. Well, if you take it with the e pawn, or let me play d takes e6, your f5 pawn is weak. So how do you make your f5 pawn not weak?
Queen d5.
Queen d5, is that what he played? Yeah. Okay, and I blundered a pawn, so I resigned. No. Okay, now his queen isn't defending his king anymore, so I can play queen h6. And if he wants to defend with his queen, he has to lose a tempo by moving it back to the second rank. Also, if I can kick his knight, then this will be annoying. And I can't make my usual annoying joke because I was only married once at that time. So the joke doesn't make any sense. Okay, so he went back to d8, defending his pawn. Now if I attack his knight, and knight can move anywhere. For example, g5. Knight g6 check. Knight f4. Where's the knight going?
h5.
h5. I found a good square for my knight. Rook c7. And I put this game on the computer about an hour ago. And I always thought I played great. I put pressure on my opponent, and eventually he cracked. And the computer said, now you're terrible. And in fact, it didn't even give a value of the game. It didn't say +1. It just said, you're terrible. So I got to get a new computer. Okay. And it said, black's better, black's better, black's better, black's better. This attack is nothing. And then he played e5, and it said, all right, now you're better. So it doesn't like to move e5. In fact, I think the computer claims that was the only bad move he made up until now. But I thought because of all the pressure I put on, it was me, right? When I was 20, something. Okay, so e5 looks good, threatens my knight. Rook d3, attacking his queen. And knight h5. Now his queen's defending f6. His rook's defending g7. His rook is pinned to his queen. He can't take my rook. And he's in time trouble. And he was late for his cab. And Uber didn't exist yet. So he was like, oh man, expensive cab ride. Okay, he played rook e6, defending f6 again. And I doubled rooks on the d file. He still can't play rook takes rook because of queen g7 mate. Exactly. Okay. And he played rook e7. Now, here I have a forced win, or was it the last move? Yeah, actually I have a forced win here, It's the same forced wind that I played, but now it's better. So by playing the wrong move, I won easier. Okay, so I traded rooks, and now I played the move you've been dying to play the whole game. And now you can play it. Louder. Queen G7. Now most of you think that wins the exchange, but actually it wins the whole rook. Because if he takes, which he didn't do, because what did he do? Resigned. I take check, and now instead of taking the rook, instead I play rook D7 check, and I win a whole rook. Yeah. So after the game, I was like, wow, I played great that game. And that computer's like, no, you're terrible. Yeah. It said black was always equal or slightly better, and only E5 was the losing move. But actually, that's not the truth. The human truth is more truth. So if you're crazy like, I don't know, Jacob, okay? You don't know him. Oh, you do know him. Wait a minute. Oh, you work for him. Jacob likes to watch these stupid computer tournaments, which are going on right now, by the way. And then the computer plays the computer, and the game goes 200 moves, and Komodo wins. I don't know why he's watching a tournament where Komodo wins. I tell him beforehand Komodo wins. And he's like, yeah, I know. And I'm like, so why are you watching it? Okay. What's that? The Komodo, no, but that's a good joke. That's, for you, that's really high up there. Yeah, because it's a computer, it never plays the dragon. Okay, so, you know, it's Komodo and Stockfish, then Komodo wins. Yeah. Other computers just play for no reason. All right, now, that's why I have Stockfish. Why should I have Komodo when I can have Stockfish? It's free. All right, I mean, they're all free, but this is actually free. It's a different kind of free. There's free and there's free. Yeah. Maybe I feel better if I steal it. All right, so when humans play, usually pressure is building when two grandmasters play, and one of them sort of falters. But they don't really build pressure when the computers play, just give some random number. So it's much more fun watching humans play, where the guy gets in time trouble, and even though it's equal, he has one move that's equal, and you have all moves that are equal. So it's good to have white in positions where black has one move that equalizes, gives him an advantage, and everyone else he gets checkmated. So as you can see, my king was very safe, and his wasn't. And since this was 1990, I took a few more risks than I normally do. I would never sacrifice a rook on b5. I would never play d5. I was just giving everything away. Can't make any of those jokes. Moving on. So actually, if there was a thing here, okay, never mind. All right, now I like ChessBase. They called him Vladimir Borisovich Tukmakov. Wow, cool name. Okay, this was also played in 1990, and this was played in Reykjavik. And I have a lot of Reykjavik stories. Most of them I can tell. When I left Reykjavik, it was 30 below zero, and I flew to Luxembourg, a 4-hour flight, and it was 70. So that was a big difference. We didn't have to de-ice the plane in Luxembourg. Okay, so I was white against Tukmakov, and he played the Dutch. And what are the two things I hate in chess? People who were intolerant of other people's cultures, and the Dutch. Okay, exactly. Now, the Dutch isn't as bad as it seems. It's not as bad as its reputation. It's not as bad as its results. You should play the Dutch against me. Okay, if I play in a double round robin, do the double Dutch. All right. Yes. Yeah, even though you have white and black. Yeah, we should skip that. Very good. Wow. You made a joke. Wow. This is amazing. Okay, so I played the Finegold attack, bishop g5, just in case he pre-moves e6. Mike Hummer's writing that down for later. It's like, ooh. Now, I did have a game against the player rated 1150 about 25 years ago. No, more than 25 years ago, 35 years ago. And he played d5, I played bishop g5, and he did play e6. And it was a slow-rated game. And before I took his queen, I just sat there and let him see it, and then he saw it. And he was not happy. Yeah, you can come in, yeah. I have some questions for you, too. Go into your dad instead. Terrible. All right, so bishop g5, and he attacked my bishop. Now, every book on the Dutch says bishop h4, but I play bishop f4. To me, h6 is weakening. I don't think h6 is a good move. I think black should play either d5 or g6. But if I'm playing you, play h6. Okay. And knight f6, and now this is a sacrifice I invented. Now remember, this was 1990. I don't do this now. Now I would have offered 3 or 4 draws by now. Okay, by now. In fact, you remember when I beat Matt Larson a few months ago, I was white, I offered him a draw move 6. And somehow I won the game, because he doesn't take draws. So. Well, I did offer him a draw last week and he took it. Right, Mike Kummer? You were there.
It wasn't rated, though.
Yeah, and who did I play in the last round of that tournament? Mike Kummer. All right, and Mike Kummer had more points than I did. So there you go. Yeah. Okay, so I played the Finegold Sacrifice. I'm sure Alex Marler knows it.
E4.
E4. Hoping for Ken West. Ken West is put on the spot here. He's like, wait, I didn't sign up for this. So if you play knight takes e4, queen h5 is strong. But they haven't played that yet. Darn. All right, stakes with the f pawn. And I play knight c3, and I can actually take on e4 next move if you didn't move. I like this pawn sacrifice because you got some weak squares near your king here. Obviously, I wouldn't play it now because I can't part with my pawns. But I had just become an international master, so I could give everything away. It didn't matter what I did. Okay, d5. I've faced that in other things. f3. Never play f3. And I've had people take on f3. I've had people like e3. He played bishop f5. And we have a fun position. I'm down a pawn, but it's a doubled pawn, and his king doesn't look very safe. Okay, g5, and knight b5, because I taught a lot of kids back then. Okay, it's very hard to defend c7, so he traded. And now if he trades queens, his knight's attacked, and c7 is attacked. c7 is not attacked now because his queen is defending it. So he moved his knight. And I played bishop e2 retreating because it attacks his knight. And I didn't see a good place for his knight to go. And again, if he trades queens, his c7 pawn is going to be hanging. He saw a good place for his knight, knight e5. And I checked. And he played knight f7. So black is up 2 pawns, but I'm attacking on both wings and the center. But still we have to play like Morphy and develop our pieces. Okay, now I want to play knight to d4, knight to g3, castles, possibly rook f1, which I did play. And he played e6. Now this is a very important part of the game. I played g4. His bishop only has 1 square. And now it seems very obvious to attack this knight on the f file. There's 2 ways to do it, rook f1 or castles. And one way is better than the other. Will somebody explain why?
Pawn protection.
Bishop check.
Man, just random answers, but that one's right.
Okay, bishop c5 or
Yeah, if I castle, he can play bishop check, and then he could castle. But if I play rook f1, now he can't, I mean, bishop b4 check c3, his pieces are still hanging. So I'm down 2 pawns, but I have some initiative. Okay, and also the 2 pawns I'm down are very suspicious. Okay, how did he defend his knight? I'll give you a hint. David Bronstein. That's a good hint.
Bishop g8.
Bishop g8. Got to defend that knight. And when I played the move knight d4, it's very hard to defend your e6 pawn. Because if you defend it with your queen, I take it anyway. And if you take my knight, I have knight c7 check. And so when he made the next move, for many years thereafter, making fun of my opponent and all of chess in general, I said, the Soviet school of chess, king e7. Bishop g8, king e7, now I know how to play chess. Okay, now Tukmakov's a great guy, I like him, he's working with Fabiano now, another one of my favorite customers. Anyway, so this is the game I beat Tukmakov. You're not allowed to see the other games I played Tukmakov. No, this is the only game. The other games you can't look at. Okay, and this is very funny. After the game we analyzed, this reminded me of my game with Corrales Jimenez, played at the chess club here a few years ago. When I won that game and we analyzed it with the Webster team, they were like, you should go here and he should go there, and he was sort of laughing along and he had a good time. And Tukmakov, his friends, the Russian team was there, they were like, your opponent should have beat you this way, and your opponent should have beat you that way. He was like, be quiet. Because they were finding improvements for me, and I really beat him bad. So he didn't want to hear that. He wanted to hear improvements for him. But okay, here I think it's already too late.
What was
So
the rank back then?
Tukmakov, yeah, I could say anything. You guys have to believe me. He was good. You know, he was like 2,600 FIDE, which now is like 2,800. Yeah. No, he was top 100 in the world, maybe like 100. Yeah. Okay, so queen e2. I'm actually going to get one of my pawns back, and I'm going to castle. I don't have to win right away because he just can't untangle. So he tried to untangle, and I got one of my pawns back. Man, I do a lot of rook lifts. Takes. And now I'm threatening rook f8, which is very annoying. And that was sort of a cool move. If we trade everything on f7, then my rook on f7 is annoying because I got queen b7 and rook b7. So he went to castle by hand, and I went there attacking his rook. That was pretty annoying. You can't pin my bishop because I play queen c4 check, and then I play queen takes rook check, and then you resign. So you sort of actually have to take my bishop, and this is just a mop up. Now I was in mild time trouble here, and in this position I played the move queen d3 overlooking bishop g4. But you can't blame me, that's hard to see. Bishop moved diagonally, come on. Luckily it didn't matter. So I just tried to make my king safe, and I did a good job. My king was pretty safe. And the best part of the game was here, because after queen check, king here, stopping queen b7 mate, I played rook f8. Rook f8's not only a good move, it was move 40. The time control was at move 40. It was even better that I was on move 40 than it was winning, because now I wasn't worried I'd lose on time. I probably played rook f8 with about a minute left. And then I was like, hey, I'm mating him. But more importantly, I'm not losing on time. Okay? And even though queen and bishop is better than queen and knight, it's not better than queen and rook. Okay? So that was a relatively easy win against somebody pretty good. And that was a real heartbreaking tournament. There were 8 million GMs, as far as I remember. And I was just becoming IM. In the last round, I played somebody with the exact same rating as me, and I had white. And if I won, I tied for first. You can guess how I did. I did not win. And actually, if I drew, I still win no money. It was a 10-way tie for first. And I would have won 3,000 if I had won, and I lost, so I got my usual nothing. But my opponent got 3,000. Yay. I actually had a good tournament until the last round. Okay, but it was nice weather. It wasn't nice
Who did
weather.
you play in the last round?
Erling Mortensen. You're like, what? Yeah.
Picture the 80s.
That's correct. No. All right, last but least. Okay, so this was a funny game because I won a prize for this game. Now this was in '92 when I was, more seasoned, okay? Because I like to put seasoning on my food, and I ate a lot in the '90s. So, and I played Gert-Jan de Boer, okay, not part of the Boer Wars, and so that's a different de Boer. And as you know, in Dutch, for the Dutch people, remember, where'd he go? He left? I was going to talk about his Dutch lecture. What is de Boer in Dutch? You guys didn't read up on it? It's the farmer. Okay, he's the farmer. Now this is quite funny. The reason I sacrificed all my pieces and won the Brilliancy Prize wasn't because I like doing that. I hate doing that. I hate winning. I hate brilliancy. I hate everything. But the previous round, I was white. I get white every round. Against Patrick Wolf. And it was the most boring game ever. I was white in a Gruenfeld, all trades, draw, 17 moves, no pieces on the board. And I was white, and I was white against in another Gruenfeld. And I was like, again? And I was like, okay, now we're gonna go crazy. And I played the craziest I could, and that was more fun. Okay, so I don't play this line with white, but I did anyway. And here, everybody in the world plays c5, and he played a line that he knew that I didn't. Luckily, I didn't know any line, so it didn't matter. Okay, now what's the craziest move you can play?
H4.
H4, yeah, and he actually knew like 17 moves of theory, so he played faster than I did. And H4 is actually a book move.
Oh, is this Kamsky-Schulman?
No, that's a different line.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so this is all theory, and he was playing instantly, but I was making it up. And this is still theory. Yeah. Okay, and there's a game that Timon, his countryman, won on move 22, and it was 18 moves of theory. So that didn't work out well. Okay, bishop a6, knight g3, queen g4. This has all been played before. So he was playing quickly, this was his prep, And I didn't know anything after like b6. But I knew it was wild and crazy. Okay, and then, well, I played a very famous rook sacrifice I'm sure you're all familiar with. That means they're not, yeah. And the next day at breakfast, I was talking to my homies, Korstei and Bronstein, and I was like, I sacked a rook. And Bronstein's like, you prepared a rook sacrifice? I said, no, I didn't know anything after move 7. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Korstei used to be my fan, then I don't know what happened. I started playing badly. Yeah. Okay, and I played the most obvious move. No, it's not obvious. Yeah. Oh, I'm already a move off. Bishop d5 is the most obvious. Now I played the most obvious move. Man, 24 years later, I can't remember the games at all. Okay, this has actually all been played before. Here I played rook h5, as recommended by me. I was young then. I could play sacrifices. Okay, so if you don't take my rook, I'll play knight f5 check, and then when you take my knight, I'll play rook g5 check. Right? And also if you don't take my rook, I might play queen h6 check. You never know. So he took my rook, okay, and I put him in check. It's not knight f5, it's knight f5, right. Okay, so king g6 is risky because of queen h6 mate. King g8 is risky because of knight h6 check winning your queen. And if you play king h8, then, man, I hate to make extra moves because we're going to have to, yeah, okay. Then I can go check, and here, and I'm threatening knight e7 mate, and I'm threatening to take your bishop. Also, these pieces are pretty good. Okay, so he played the obvious move, the one I didn't tell you.
King f6?
Yeah, king f6. Okay, happens. I took the knight. He didn't want me to take all of his pieces, so he took back, and I checked. Now he has two ways of playing. King g6 isn't good because queen h6 is still mate. He played king e5. Now the best analysis I did with this game was with Yasser Seirawan, and I was very nice to him in the last lecture. Okay, and Yasser and I were eating at a very nice Italian restaurant at Vikons in the city with other people. And I said, did you see the game I won today? And he said, no. And I was like, oh. He's like, tell me the game. So I told him the game, and he was like, no. And he was like, why didn't you go here, and why didn't he go there? And these were the notes I used for my game, because he was right. Okay, and we analyzed king e6 a little bit. Again, this is 24 years ago. Check, check. And you can't play king takes knight because of queen d5 mate. And this is a very interesting position. I think computer says it's equal. I think computer says everything's equal. And he took, which is fine. And he played king e6. King f4 doesn't work because at the very least, king here is mate, so that's good for white. And if he plays king f3, I have knight h4, and his only legal move is queen takes knight. So I would take white there. So he didn't play any of that. He played king e6. And I played f3 because my e pawn was attacked. Okay, also now I can castle. Okay. And his queen's attacked, so he moved it. Check. And again, he can play king d7. It's possible. And I'll castle. Wow. And he'll go here, and I'll take. And it looks like white should have at least enough for the exchange. So he didn't do that. He moved up in the world, king e5. I took a bishop. And here he made the losing move. And it wasn't because he was worried. He thought he was winning. He was like, oh boy, I'm finally winning. And the game could have ended queen g1, queen g2, draw agreed. Or I can walk my king up, which is very risky, which I probably would have done because that seems like a boring draw. Queen g1's equal. The move he made loses, but he thought he was winning. And it's funny, I've been teaching my students this ever since this game. A lot of times when somebody's attacking, they miss an attacking move because that move is a retreat. Normally they're going forward. When your opponent retreats and it's strong, those moves are often overlooked as it was here. So computer still says it's equal, although if he takes my rook, which is a bit crazy, okay, then that's not equal anymore. Check. I think this, you go here or here. King here, queen, everything's mate. Every legal move's mate. So that's better, and then mate. I actually remember these variations from a million years ago. Okay, so he played the losing move, queen takes f3. Maybe his only bad move of the game. Then I'll teach him to play a bad move. Okay, and I played check. And again, if he goes back, it's mate. It's the same mate I showed you. I win his queen. Everything's great. And he played this, and he thought he was winning. He's up the exchange in 2 pawns. I can't castle. My rook on a1 isn't doing anything, and my knight's hanging. So he's like, yeah, I'm winning. And then I made the move that he missed, and he's like, oh, I'm losing. Darn. Which move was that? I gave you a hint earlier. I said it was a retreat. Yeah, knight g3. He didn't see knight g3. He was looking at queen c6, and queen b7, and queen e7, and queen c4, knight d6, and all those moves lose. Knight g3 wins, though. Now, he can't make these moves because they're illegal, and therefore not good. So his king has to go to a green square. If he goes to d5, I can just play queen b7, check winning his queen. Okay, so he played the correct move, king to d3. He plays king to e3, pretty simple mate, I think. Yeah. So king to d3 was forced, and I checked. He can't take the pawn because I have this skewer. So he went to c4. If he goes to c2, queen d2 is still mate. And finally, I get another piece into the attack. And if you play king e6 or king e5, queen d6 is mate. And if you go here, queen c4, rook d7, and mate. Okay, so he has to take my rook, and finally I'm ahead material. Hooray! Yeah. And this was very funny. He was in really bad time trouble. And the game ended on a blunder, but his blunder was the best move. You know what I'm talking about, Ken West? Yeah. Okay, so in this position, my opponent played the best move, but it was a blunder, but it was such a good, it was still best. I'm mating him, everything is mate. And he played the only move to stop mate. Rook d3. He didn't see his rook was hanging. He just checked me. He had, it was move 39 or 40. He had like 5 seconds left. Then when I took it, he's like, oh. But then the computer suggests rook d3. Because otherwise you're getting mated everywhere. Queen h7, queen h6, queen h5 is mate in 1. And queen g4 and or queen g2 is mate in 2. So rook d3 best. That's how good he is. When he makes the worst move ever, it's the best. And when the game ended, he said, like, what? What's going on? What happened? And then Patrick Wolf went up to me and said, were you lucky or was it all like genius? And I said, I don't know. And then after the game, we analyzed it. We thought I was a genius. And then when I looked at it with Yasser when he was playing blindfold, it was clear that I wasn't. But the sacrifice is okay. It leads to a draw. And then you put pressure on your opponent. Their king runs around the board. He made one mistake. Queen takes f3. And he thought he was winning. It wasn't because he was afraid. He was too confident. So he said, oh, my king's active. Okay, very suspicious. So those were 3 games I played in the early 90s. I don't play like that now. Now it's just 10 move draws. Yeah, I can't, if I did that now, I just hang everything. Like he'd play rook, I would play queen check and he'd play rook takes queen. And I can't see one move ahead anymore. So when I was younger and living in Europe, I played wild and crazy chess. And then I came back to the US for my somber, boring chess. The ones you like a lot. Now,